you have this idea that the person who's committed the crime is some kind of devil reincarnated, because you can't understand how somebody could do something like that.
So I had an email from Remedi, obviously part of Restorative Justice, to continue the process with Deb, who'd started at a previous prison. And that in itself was just great communication between Restorative Justice and the prison service, which enabled Debbie to actually physically meet the victim's brother. Yeah.
Is it something that you would like to see with other prisoners?
Absolutely. I think, like I said, so empowering, and I do think that when we are focused solely on a defendant, when you're working opposite them within the prison environment, to have that victim perspective is unbelievable, and to see that the victim's family get answers to questions that they would never have possibly had if it wasn't for Restorative Justice. So yeah, highly recommended for anyone that wants to take part. Yeah, so as I mentioned, in my 21-year career, I've been involved in 2 Restorative Justice, which in my opinion hasn't been enough times. And it has been one of the most empowering things I've ever been involved in. Working with Deb and seeing her go through the process of meeting the victim's brother was, well, life-changing, I think, for Debbie and for the victim, and empowering for staff to see how they sort of spoke to each other, and the questions that they had and the answers. And to be honest, myself and a member of the Restorative Justice team didn't even have to speak. You know, the conversation between Deb and the victim just flowed. It was lovely.
Yeah. Would you say that it's empowering for kind of everybody involved?
Unbelievably empowering, yeah. Unbelievably empowering for myself as a probation officer, empowering for Deb, and also very empowering for the victim. I think it's something that should happen more often.
So could you tell us a little bit about the offence?
It was for murder, and I got a tariff of 12 years, but I'd done 14, but just because of COVID. So yeah, I'd had a fight with someone, and then obviously that fight transpired. It got worse and worse, and then sadly he lost his life, and then I got.
How are you feeling after, and kind of in your time in prison?
At first, I was very, very, very angry. I didn't see the difference between a murder charge and manslaughter. I was like, well, there's a difference. Why am I charged with murder? I couldn't understand that whilst it's murder, there's reasons which kind of explain that, and until I started doing restorative justice, didn't kind of see that. Didn't understand the difference, do you know what I mean?
When did you first hear about restorative justice, and what did you kind of think about it when you first heard about it?
I'd heard about it. I'd say I'd done probably about eight years. At first, I'd done about 8 years, and they came in on an open day at Foston to do, they were going to do a course about it and train prisoners up. But I'd met Suzanne then, and then I started working with Suzanne and Tasha. So,
can you tell me a bit about that experience of restorative justice as a whole and working with
they come in to see me probably, I think it was like once every few months. They'd help me understand what it like, if I was struggling to write a letter, because it was just like, I'd write a letter, then my victim's family would write and respond back to that. Obviously you can't go, it's not like, it doesn't go too deep. You just keep it like basic, just like, how are you, how are things going, and just back and forth. But he would always respond. I would never write and go, how are you, oh, I've missed you. It's not that kind, it's not. And then she would take that letter away scan it and give it back to him, and then he'd respond back to it. She'd scan it because it has to go through her bosses first.
What was it like writing to him?
It was hard. It was hard because I did struggle with them. I'd know what I'd want to say, but because of my ADHD, I'd struggle to put it into words. So they'd always help me understand how to change it over.
So that eventually built up to a face-to-face meeting, didn't it?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that, how that went?
That went absolutely brilliantly. Even though I was nervous, like I said, I'd met his brother a few times before, but it went absolutely amazing. So we got on, and we just both went with the flow, just went with that moment. I can't ever ask for forgiveness from him. And he said that, and it's like, it was just like it was back and forth. There was no awkward silences, which I kind of thought there would be.
What was that impact on you after that meeting?
I needed to do that. I've always said I needed to do it. I've always said it to Suzanne. Once I heard about restorative justice, I don't shut up about it because it needs to be more promoted more, and it's helped me massively. It's stopped me being so angry because like I say, unless you do it and you see the other side of it, not just for this charge, but I'd been in and out of prison before then, and I was just angry. I didn't care about the impact it has on society, but then it helps you understand the actual impact, because I used to do shoplifting and everything, and I'd be like, oh, it's all right, taxpayer pays for it. Well, no, it's not just the taxpayer, there's an impact. And until I sat down and actually went through that impact with my OMU at Foston, it breaks it down, and you understand there's a knock-on effect, not just for my type of crime, but for every crime.
Well, I think I know the answer, but is it something you'd recommend to other people?
I would recommend it until the cows come home. Yeah. I would, honestly, do you know what I mean? I would shout from the rooftops about it. I don't shut up about it anyway, and I don't shut up about recycling lives as well. So them two have had massive impacts for me, so yeah.
That's brilliant. That's all my questions. Is there anything you'd like to add at all?
Just that, I like I say, for me personally, Vicky will tell you, my OMU, I used to be very, very angry. It's like I say, I've never not. This is something I've always wanted to do, always. And like I say, if I could shout it from the rooftops, I really would. It benefits regardless. Absolutely benefits.
So how were you contacted by Remedi? Can you remember the first time we had contact?
Yes.
How it came about?
Well, I think the offender had seen a video in prison and expressed an interest.
Yeah.
And I think it therefore went on from there. I remember you phoned me up and we had a conversation.
We did.
And from that conversation, we arranged to meet. From our first meeting, it was quite obvious that I was keen. And it was quite obvious I had a certain idea on what suited me best. And it was a face-to-face meeting. Even though I was okay within myself, you have this idea that the person who's committed the crime is some kind of devil reincarnated, because you can't understand how somebody could do something like that. And I'd never really sort of seen her as such. I didn't really know her in any shape or form. There was a few times when we did meet, when I went to see my brother, but that was only for moments. So, yeah, I was sort of very apprehensive, but also, I understood that it wasn't going to be an easy journey.
Yeah.
It's very difficult asking for advice, family and friends. A lot of them were against it, to be honest. They were saying, well, I don't know why you're bothering.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way I'd do it. So it's a very personal decision. And you're very much in the unknown because other than your good self, there wasn't really anybody I could talk to or anybody I knew who had the experience, really.
Yeah.
I thought that for me, it's better to receive first because I was looking at not only, receiving the letter, but how it was written, what the handwriting's like, because I can sort of tell. I mean, I suppose we all can sometimes, by the way somebody writes, what their persona and attitude is like. So how did I feel about receiving it, reading it? Well, I passed the stage of being really angry, and it was strange in the way that here I am talking to this person who I don't know who's killed my brother. How am I going to react? I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So I sort of decided that I would just write and let her know how I felt and give a little bit of a background about what sort of happened to me personally regarding the other brothers.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. The whole process was like 4 years plus, but at that time we decided to just carry on exchanging letters. When you told me that we'd got a meeting, I must admit, I nearly dropped the phone. After 4 years, it's a long time trying to work towards it. So it was a bit of a mixture of, well, here we go, and crikey. Can I go through with it? Can I actually go through with it? I still didn't know, to be honest, because I still had it in my mind that I'm meeting this person who's, killed my brother. And you try and picture that, and all you can think of is evil, really. So, yeah, I was pleased, but boy, was I nervous.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was going to react. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how I was going to be. I'm meeting somebody who I think is awful,
Yeah.
Somebody out of your worst nightmare. Here I am, I'm coming to talk to them. So I didn't know how I'd be. So I didn't really do too much preparing, to be honest. I just really sort of wanted to know how, why, when.
Yeah.
Basically, that is all I wanted to know. Did I get everything out of it that I wanted to? Yes, I think I did. I understood why. After speaking to her, I don't really think it was murder as such. But So I mean, I got everything out of it that I wanted to, really, and it wasn't half as bad as what I thought it would be, because I think going in there, shaking the hand, which of course Deborah responded to, it was quite a nice handshake, We sat down, And I think Deborah was a bit nervous because she did start chatting straight away, which was, you know, I mean, I can understand other people's nerves and that, you know, it's not an easy thing to do for anybody. But in some ways that really relaxed me, to be honest. And yeah, I got a lot out of it. I think it's important the role that you play, for example. I mean, we used to have monthly phone calls and we used to have a chat and, you know, talk about it and that sort of thing. It was really good. But yeah, I think it's very much down to the individual as to whether or not they go with it. I mean, I would say, you know, have a go, see how you get on, because there is always that element of, no, I can't do it. And then you just walk away.
Yeah.
You know, everything was organised. Everything was dealt with in a timely, pleasant manner. You made it quite clear right from the off that if you don't want to go through with it, you don't have to go through with it. Yeah, so yeah, I would. I mean, you should never discount anything.
Yeah.
And I think if it's something that you think, oh, I might be interested, or this could probably help me, then I would definitely start the process with Remedi.